I'll try to make this one so we can see the question and the answer here at the same time. So finding the surface area generated by revolving this function from 0 to 3 on the y-axis. The blue line here is the function rotating it around the y-axis. We create this picture here. So anytime it's asking you to find surface area, first we need the formula for surface area, which is the integral of 2 pi. We do have to be careful here because they give us it as x is a function of y. We need to interchange the x and the y values in the formula. So instead of 2 pi y is going to be 2 pi x square root of 1 plus the derivative as a function of y squared dy. So we're going to need that derivative. If x or f of y is equal to this, then just doing the derivative real quick, we would this 4 minus y you can think of as to the 1/2 power. Bringing down that 1/2 is going to cancel out with that 2. So now we have 4 minus y to the negative 1/2. But we have to be careful because you do have to multiply by the derivative of the inside, which is going to be a negative 1. Simplifying this down a little bit, you can move that to the bottom, and we get negative 1 over the square root of 4 minus y. Okay, so there's our derivative, and we just plug that in. So now we're going to be the integral. It's going from 0 to 3 on the y-axis of 2 pi. We can't plug an x in there, but we can plug what x is equal to as a function of y. So it's going to be 2 pi x, which is 2 square root of 4 minus y. And that's going to be times the square root of 1 plus this derivative that we just found, negative 1 over square root 4 minus y, all squared, dy. All right, this trick it is one that I showed you. It's just a little bit more complicated than the one that I showed you. First off, we have a 2 times 2, which is 4. We still have the pi. We still have this square root 4 minus y. Inside here, when I square that off, the negative 1 becomes a positive 1. The square root in the denominator becomes just a normal 4 minus y. Now the trick here is we have 2 square roots that are multiplied by each other. We're just going to distribute the square roots or factor, whatever you want to call it. Multiplying these together, you multiply the insides of the square roots together. I have a 4 pi here, which is a constant. I'm going to pull that out of the square root. Inside pulling it out of the integral. Inside the integral, it's just going to be 1 square root now. We're going to take this 4 minus y and multiply it by the 1, which is just 4 minus y. And we're going to take the 4 minus y and multiply it by this fraction. The 4 minus y's cancel, and we just get 1. Combining the numbers there inside of the square root. 4 plus 1 is 5 minus y dy. And at this point, you can just do a u substitution. So we're going to let u be that 5 minus y, and then du is going to be equal to negative dy. So when we substitute this out, you can pull that minus sign all the way out of the integral, and now we have negative 4 pi out in front. The integral, where I don't know the limits necessarily, it's going to be the square root of u, but I'm going to leave that as u to the 1/2, and then this dy becomes a du because I've already pulled the negative sign out. Antiderivative here is that this u to the 1/2, that 1/2 is going to go up to 3/2, and then we'll divide. Dividing by 3/2 is the same thing as multiplying by 2/3. And now I can substitute back in the u. Remember, u is this 5 minus y here. Also, don't forget that we have our limits here in terms of y going from 0 to 3. So just be careful plugging the 3 and then plugging the 0 in. If I plug the 3 in, 5 minus 3 is 2, so we get 2 to the 3/2. We also have this negative 4 pi and this 2/3. Those multiplied together to be negative 8 pi over 3. Then from the 2 here, I'll just leave it as 2 to the 3/2. You can leave it like that for the homework. That's going to be the first thing when you plug 0 in. When you plug 3 in, minus when you plug 0 in, you're just going to get a 5 here. So negative 8 pi over 3, and it's going to be 5 to the 3/2 power. The double negatives do cancel out, and you can also factor out an 8 pi over 3 from these two things. So you'll probably see the homework answer look like this. The 8 pi over 3 that is factored out, a negative 2 to the 3 halves, and then plus a 5 to the 3 halves. So this would be the total surface area then of our object.